Hey, welcome aboard. Glad you're here. I'm Coach Anthony Thompson. As you may know, I help and coach six, seven, eight-figure Christian business owners build prosperity, create freedom for their families so they can be more generous. They can live the life that they believe is in their heart. They can live their calling. They can get out of contentment. They can upgrade. All of those things are what I help and get people accountable to do that stuff. And I'm proud of it. I want you to know it's my calling. It wasn't just some course that I took. I've been working on this for 44 years, and I'm honored that you are sitting here with me. Look, you're at my kitchen table. So if you and I were hanging out and sitting together, this is where we'd be. We'd be sitting here hanging out. And I want to share with you just a few minutes here today. I know that you're probably figuring out what's going on with this guy. I want to share with you first. Stick to the end because there's some things that we actually go through tangibles about what you can learn from today to take away with you. So the first biggest thing is that I want to show you some things from some clients that I'm working with. Maybe their stories resonate with you. I know for me, when you're watching videos like this and you're meeting people, the biggest thing is trust. And it's hard because there's so much stuff that's going on today. And my prayer in all of this, and with all of my clients, it's this prayer, is that really the Lord drops something into your heart and says, hey, this is a guy that I want to work with. Because otherwise, it's going to be noisy and it's going to be wild and it's going to be in disarray. And I know for myself what that felt like. I was just like you on the other side, trying to figure out, how do I upgrade my life? How do I add another 10,000 in revenue? How do I become more generous? How do I do those things? And it, I had to trust myself, and I had to trust that other person to help me get there. And so I want to do my best to show you everything that I got under the hood so that you can make a decision for yourself and say, hey, I can see my life going in this direction. And I always tell everybody, it starts with belief. And it's hard when you're not there. It's hard to say, well, where is this money going to come from? Or how's this going to happen? I'm going to show you a few things of how some of those questions you might have will be answered. And I want you to know, one of the other hardest things for me was investing in myself. And so if you haven't done that before, there's going to be this tension and you're going to feel it. And it's going to be that tension and feel it because ultimately you don't trust yourself to be able to do the work and do what you need to do to get you where you need to go. And listen, wisdom is being able to know the right thing to do and do it. And foolishness is knowing the right thing to do and not doing it. And I want you to be wise. And I know you want to be wise because that's what Proverbs is. It's the beginning of is fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. And so I know that you're on that track and you're on that journey. I'm going to show you some things in here of clients, my story. You can get a little bit about me, like who is this guy? Where is he coming from? What makes me different than anybody else? And my prayer and hope is always that the Holy Spirit reveals things to you as you sit there. And he does more work than even I do. He's my coach and counsel, and every one of my clients knows that. That's a huge ingredient, and that's what separates me in many of these situations. So I'm going to drop some stuff in here for you. We're going to have a little conversation and a chat. Again, you're at my kitchen table. I just had another espresso, so welcome to the journey. Here we go. Okay. So, as there's client wins. I want to start off with a client here, Mike, and eight-figure business added 48 million of new monthly revenue in 45 days, and it gave him fulfillment, prosperity, and freedom for his family. Okay, so before that, he was at basically 3, 4, 5 million kind of monthly rev, and then we put a plan together, and I'm going to give you a breakdown of some of those things that are in that plan and what that looks like. And I know initially you can be like, no way, this is, maybe this isn't possible, whatever. And I just want you to just take a step back. You're going to have to trust something. And I know it's hard. And this is a real person. And these are results that, yes, they were exceedingly abundantly above all that I could ask for, imagine, and all that he was asking for, imagine. And they have continued. He's a current client, and we're working on the next 60 million after this. So really proud of the work that we put together and the consistency. Another client of mine in the sporting world is Karen and Gavin, both of them professional clay shooters. Karen, in both of those situations, a little bit different of how they wanted prosperity and freedom. We ultimately had to set goals that were going to create prosperity and freedom for them. So they weren't just stuck doing the same things that they didn't want to do, but they were doing things and exploring and having impact. And we did that. And a lot of it was in the mindset, which is a lot of what we had to do, even with the previous client I worked with. And that's probably where you're at. A lot of this has to do with what you're thinking, who you're around, and the thoughts that you keep replaying in your mind. And I know it because I've been there. And once you start a negative loop, it's hard to get out of a positive loop. And so we create systems and things so that you have positive loops and you have a pathway forward and you have daily and weekly systems and monthly systems to do that. Another client of mine here, Robbie, in construction, and came in and we started crushing it at the year end. We started to set on a new system and new goals, and increase rev in 30% in less than 90 days. And really, again, it came down to, one is belief, two is, what did you want? What is it going to take to get there? And we started to build out these systems and plans of what that looks like and what it takes and who needs to get reached out to and what's the enemies to the goal and all of those sorts of things. And until, he's throwing down thousands of square foot of concrete. He's with his dad there in that picture right here at the end of the year and just really crushed it there in Florida. Really proud of Robbie and his work. And God is faithful. Another Charlie here in Tennessee, 8-figure owner, and really was wanting to fortify his family, fortify his marriage. And as we began to do that, what I love about this is we really started to drive down into additional revenue and additional ideas and strategies. Why? Because he actually had some things in there, and it took a little bit of time, took longer than 90 days on this. However, he was able to see that, there's some areas where he needs to double down on and he needs to go for it and he needs to get out there. And I'm really proud of his work, his effort, the consistency. And again, if you're wondering, how does some of this stuff work? These are just Christian business owners that love Jesus, that want the best for their family, that want to be more generous, that have a heart for people, and they are eliminating distractions and focusing in on the things that really matter. Lucia here, love this story. Another client where she came in and ultimately she was just really wanting peace in her home with her kids. And when you come in, you want prosperity, but you also want peace. That can be a tough thing to navigate. But we had to navigate that. We first had to build a foundation. It's funny we were talking about concrete and construction, but that's exactly what happened here with Lucia. Is like we just had to build a foundation first of peace, first of being able to be confident and work on the mindset about having her own business and what that looks like. And eventually, over time, again, this one was 4 or 5 months. Finally, started to turn over to the point to where, and a lot of times in these design fields, she's an interior designer, and a lot of times projects take a long time. They take months, and in the middle of those months, there's a lot of waiting. And fortunately, toward the end of it, the work was great. She's dancing here. She feels like she's in heaven. The client was pumped. It was featured on CNN nationally. Super big win for her. And this was a situation where when she came in, she really had a tough time about even thinking about how much revenue she even wanted to make. And so we had to go down and really drill down into how much was needed and what was possible and what was there in these first years and things like that. And she did it. And I believe by the grace of God that she had favor on what she was doing. And here's Cherie, incredible speaker, gifted nationally, TEDx speaker. And we just, every time we get together, Cherie is really about challenging women. And we were able to really eliminate a lot of roadblocks, mindset stuff, really reach out into taking specific goals, SMART goals, nothing you haven't heard before, but really getting accountable to those goals and doing them and driving her business, driving her revenues, driving her, speaking engagement, 30, 40% of what it was. And it was great. So though that's a little bit of some of the folks, that may be resonating with you. Like, oh, okay, that story is kind of like mine. Awesome. That's cool. I love that. In addition to that, it's what some of the leaders are saying. These are some of the people that I've been with over my years, in 44 years on this earth. Aaron over at Google, coaching with him was great. And Dave Martin, I was a little kid when Dave and I were friends and been friends together. And he's like a big brother to me. I've been blessed to know him. My friend Jerry in high school, we've known each other and been hanging out for a while. He's been a blessing in my life. And Pastor Brian Houston, Hillsong, who I was with almost a decade, and really helped just create, learn, grow, build, scale, big business, all those kinds of things of what that looks like practically. I'd say to people, the last 20 years, I've sat with millionaires nearly every day for the last 20 years. And it says a lot because I learn a lot. These are some more testimonials from Deirdre, Cherie, Kimmy about just sitting down, creating roadmaps, creating prosperity blueprints and purpose blueprints, and those kinds of things that when you begin to actually set your mind on something, and I believe in Habakkuk, it says, we write the vision, we make it plain. When you actually do that and you stick to it, you have accountability to it, and you go for that, uh, things change. And so I'm introducing you to the prosperity blueprint. And as you know, you're probably here because you want to make more money. You want to, create prosperity for your family. You want to be able to create freedom for your family, which is also important. And you want to do it in a way that, is in line with Christ and and those principles and those things. And I'm glad you're here. So here's me, a little bit about Anthony. And this is kind of a run sheet here about Christian business owner. I had a business in Australia as well as here. I got 3 kids. Many of you may have seen me on the YouVersion Bible app. I had almost 250,000 subscribers there. I worked with Jay Shetty and his team when I first started coaching, which was really fun. If you know Jay and his background, and I was really able to use that and use my life in Christianity, my life in spirit-filled living, and mesh that and actually learn a lot. I was former head of growth at Hillsong, strategic PR support. I worked with Benny Hinn for a number of years, and he led me to the Lord. And Benny and I are still friends, and means a lot to me, dear friend. And before that, I was Fortune 500 in celebrity PR, and I've got some posts on Instagram, which some funny posts about working with different celebrities and such. And I was a preacher's kid raised in Chicago. I've been raised in the church, and I have learned, and I think I've put this out as one of my biggest differences in anybody else is uh, my length in the scriptures, my length with the Holy Spirit, and my length in business. And I think those 3 things have allowed me to sit with some of the greatest leaders in the world and learn from them and sit with you and help you and guide you into all that God has for you, because you have something in there. Jeremiah 29:11 is written for you. Your great plans, great future, great hope for you. And I believe my job here is to get that thing uncovered and launch and push you out and challenge you and kick you out and get you to doing those things that you need to do. Okay. I'll give you a little kind of before and after post. In 2022, it was rough. I didn't have really a plan. I had been working, all my life for big brands and big companies. I'm crying there on the left, and my confidence was shattered. And like, I'm just, I was always a confident guy. I was always just felt blessed in that area. I'd gotten divorced, and I was just beaten up, and I just felt left behind. If you have that feeling where you're like, man, I should be over here, but I'm here, or we should be doing this, but I'm here, or I should be doing those things, and I'm here. And comparison is the thief of joy. Yes, you have to be very, very, very mindful of that. But also know that you may have some pictures in your heart that you feel like God's put in there. It's not Instagram, scroll stuff. It's you feel like God's put that in there. And I want to speak to that. I want to speak to those goals and those visions and those dreams. And I want you to know that that's why you're here. You're here because, you're trying to figure that out. And you're here because you're trying to trust somebody enough to help you get there. And I know that I've had to go through that same journey. And I know that I've helped, almost 50 people or more, almost 100 so far, of getting into a higher level, a deeper level, more prosperity and more freedom. And I just want you to sit with that and just think, like, I know it's hard to make decisions, but I want you to actually believe that you can. And when I started to do that, laser focus, revenue started to launch. I just got dug in, tripled down on God's word, maxed out impact, bold as a lion, challenge for the Lord, all those kinds of things. And that's what I want for you. Because I believe that when I take on clients, I'm not taking on one client. My clients are leaders. So those leaders are affecting, I believe, 50, 100, thousands. And that's my call here, is I believe that I want to prepare you for the end in mind. I want you to be prosperous and generous and financially free so that you can do all those things. You can impact those individuals, right? And if you haven't seen this post on Instagram, I suggest you check it out. It's a lot of what I said there. It's a lot of behind the scenes when I was at Hillsong and doing celebrity PR and where I grew up and some of the preachers that I've been around my whole life. And it's just some things in there that, check it out. If you're trying to figure out who this guy is, I want you to have, as much info as you can. And I also want to pause here for a second. Just say this. I want you to hear me out here for a second. Um, I believe that there's times for yourself where you're trying to make a decision and you're not quite sure how to make the decision. And I wrote this note down because you have to understand the cost of inaction. And inaction is just delay, it's procrastination, and ultimately it's fear. And I have to say that to you because that's where I was. I was sitting on the other side, trying to do YouTube videos, listening to all these podcasts, and trying to figure out on my own. And I literally had a call yesterday from another coach and individual that, again, trying to do the same thing. They're trying to DIY their life. And I ended up breaking down so many of those things to them, and I shared it with them because I've invested over $100,000 in my growth, in my business, in my coaching, in my mindset, all that stuff. And it's for you. I do it because I've had to do the investment to get there. But I also want you to know that, when you want to get to that next level, you're going to have to jump in. You're going to have to get your feet wet. And I just want to start putting that your way. Say, hey, I can get you there. And I believe that there's also another roadblock that you're facing, because it was one I was facing, that you had all this money saved up. I didn't have a lot of money saved up, but I had enough money to invest in many, 5, 7, 10,000 different courses. And I didn't. I was always just stocking up money. And you know what? When you're younger, when you're less than 60, it's not the time to stock those things. It's the time to generate revenue. And I missed that probably for a decade. I wish I'd done it sooner. Because as you invest in yourself, you can create more revenue. And you're the greatest creator of revenue in your entire life, unless you're a trust fund baby and you've got billions in the bank. But chances are you're probably not. So I want you to just think about that. Every time you don't realize that when your money's sitting there, it's really not doing anything. And the reason why you don't invest in yourself is because you don't believe in yourself. And I know that because that was me, as I said before. And so I just want to challenge you to do something you've never done before so that you can get what you've never gotten before. It's not, it's not a hard science. It's just a thought and a challenge for you. So let's have a look at what it looks like, working with me. So, hey, Anthony, what's it like working with you? What do you do? Well, I'll start off with this. Working with me is one-on-one. Okay. So people are like, oh, what do you do? I work one-on-one at this moment. That's what I do. And I do that because that's where I get the greatest results. When you see these individuals that have these results, 10x, 15, 20x, it's because it's one-on-one. It's because I'm available to them 60 hours a week. It's because I have we have a document, a progress, I call it a progress report, that we go through every single week. What are you doing? What are you not doing? How are we checking? How are we rolling? Why? Because progress is happiness. You need to look back and say, oh, where was I and where am I now? And that's what coaching does. It's not just how do I feel for the day? No, this is actual progress. What's revenue? What are these action items? What is this? What are these growth levers? Have we done this? Have we done this? And as you start to track, you're rolling so fast and moving so fast that you have to stay focused. And my job is helping you be accountable to do that. So those are some of the big picture items. Like, hey, what's it like working with you, Anthony? That's what it's like. There's sometimes when I fly and see clients. There's sometimes when clients come in to fly in to see me. The approach that I have is kind of this or that. I can do Zoom. I can, fly somewhere. They can come in. So those options are unlimited as it pertains to one-on-one. And I want you to know that that's why this works so well, because I'm so determined. And my business is determined on your success. And so I don't take in everybody if I don't feel like you're going to do the work and you're going to get stuff done. There was a couple of people I let go of this summer because there were some things. They didn't show up. They didn't do the work. They just weren't responsive. And No, the number one ingredient that I see for success is hunger. And if you're hungry, you can get there. And I guarantee that you will. All right. Now, it may not be in 7 days, 30 days, or whatever. You will get there. You will progress. You will have upgrades. You will get better. So I want to put that there your way of what this looks like for you. Okay. And then let's dive in quickly. Let's dive in quickly to some of the blueprint. So when you get here, this is some of the stuff that you were facing, I was facing. You're stuck, or maybe you're just content, right? One of my clients that was, now double, tripling his revenue, he was content. He was fine making 30, 40,000 a month. But that's not what he was called for. That's not what was in his heart. That's not what God was nudging him about. And so now it's doubled. Now we're, doubled and then some. You're frustrated where you are. All right. There's more for your life. You need to get somewhere, and you need a plan. And you need accountability. I don't know if you can read that. Let me make that bigger for you so you can read it. And here's this last one I put in here, and I keep saying it because it's true. You want to grow, but you don't know who to trust, right? You're all over on YouTube's and all these different videos. You're just not sure, who to trust or what to look for. And again, if I could make it easier for you, I would. I think one of the best things that I always tell people is sit with the Lord, and you ask the Lord about me. Say, hey, is this guy in? Is he for real, or is he not? Okay. Inside this program, you're like, well, how are you going to get me there, Anthony? How are you going to help me make more money? And I just want to touch in on this. I'm going to give you some of these slides, and just for the sake of time, but number one is ownership. You're coming here saying, I need to own the crap and the good, right? Good, bad, and ugly. We own it. We work on your vision, your mission, your skills, your habits, your mindset, your accountability, and your energy. I don't know which one of those is faltering. I will tell you this, 90% of the time it's in your mind. And that's where we attack first. And I'd say 90% as well. I don't have 200%, but it's usually in your mouth. Your mind and your mouth are where a lot of this is going to be where you're missing out. You don't even realize it, what you're saying with your mouth and what you're projecting. Many times it could be in the mission. You don't have a strategy. You don't have a plan. You don't even know where you're at or where you want to go and why that matters. I have a client currently that kind of just came on, and he's saying, well, I don't know, is this what I'm supposed to be doing with my life? Well, there's some things that we go through, some checkpoints of, is this what you want to do with your life? That's one. But the other thing we have to say is, okay, well, how about you do this really well? And then what I find with most of my clients is another door opens. When you are faithful in the little, God's word says that he will make you rulers over much. I find that most of my clients, once they get faithful in one of these areas, another door opens. And all of a sudden, now they have another business or another revenue stream or something else that happens. But they first have to get faithful in the one area. I have another client that they get a lot of all these other options. And we have to stop. We say, I have to stop. Get faithful with the one thing. Do that really well. Get the revenue you want. And then we can move on to what's next. Right. So there's pros and cons of both. But in the beginning, you got to do one thing well. You got to get the revenue where you want to go. And then there's other opportunities in there. You don't just throw your seed everywhere. We're very intentional about our seeds, where we're sowing them, and the harvest that we want to receive. Okay. Hope you hear that. So ownership, obviously, many of you know Jocko, Romans 14:12. You're going to each give an account. Vision. I go a lot about vision. Proverbs 29:18. No vision, the people perish. It also says in another version, people cast off restraint. People lack discipline. If you lack discipline, it's because you lack vision. Think about it for your own life with, this is always easy. You start gaining weight. Why? You lack vision. You forgot what got you there. You start just eating whatever you want. You lack discipline, right? That's an easy way to describe that. Mission is our yearly, monthly, weekly, daily steps to get to our vision, right? In Jeremiah 29:11, God has great plans for you. All right, great plans for you. Plans to give you hope in the future. We get into skills. Sometimes you need skills to do what you do or do it better, or you need to hire somebody for the skill, or you need to bring me on to help you advise in what you're doing. Sometimes that's the skill you need. You don't have all the answers or all the tools, and so you got to go find them. It's interesting, even when you read about Elon Musk, he had a physics background, but he literally just called people that were really, really smart to begin SpaceX. So you're going to need those skills, and they're going to come from different areas. So be mindful of that. Your habits, your characters are some of your habits. And it's important for you to know that your habits have to align with where you want to go, or you're going to have diversion. That's two visions. It's not going to be where you want to go. So we go through that, your mindset, accountability, energy, and again, the Holy Spirit is a big component in what I do. John 5:30, I can do nothing on my own. Out of the abundance of your heart, your mouth speaks. Your mouth is going to be the architect of your future. Really big in that. Be still and know that I'm God. We sit with the Lord, and we really dig in about what matters in those areas. So I just think for some of those things that you just have to have those aligned and in sync. And I went through them quickly because ultimately, at this stage for you, you got to trust somebody, you got to invest in something, and the cost of inaction, you have to know what that cost is. So let's say you want to make 100 grand a month, and you're making 50. Well, the cost of your inaction or the cost of you not getting to 100 is 50 grand a month. It's costing you 50,000 a month to not get to 100,000. And that's something to really consider, because as time goes on, that 50 stacks and 50 stacks and 50 stacks, and you're still trying to figure out how do I do this? Well, that's when the inaction, needs to become action and do the thing you need to do. You don't feel shameful about it. The greatest individuals, in this world, guys like Michael Jordan. When you ask Michael Jordan's coach, you say, why was Michael so great? Tim Grover, I love Tim, and everyone asks, why is Michael so great? And Tim he wasn't the most skilled. There's guys that coach more skilled. It wasn't his work ethic. There was guys that worked just as hard. He goes, the one thing that set Michael apart from everybody else was that he was the most coachable. And I think as you take a step back and you see the greatest people in this world are the most coachable, and they're going into that ladder. So I want you to think about, for you, what do you want? Where do you want to go? I hope that you would take this time and look through, examine everything that's going on, do your homework, do your due diligence. If you're serious, you want to talk about this, you want to build a custom blueprint and a plan, I want to be there for you. It's my calling. It's what I do. So reach out, drop a note below, schedule a call, whatever it may be. And I believe that this will be the greatest year you've ever had if you go and do the thing you need to do. I'm praying with you. I believe that God's hand is on you in what you're doing, that you're in the right place at the right time with the right people. Psalms 37. Your steps are ordered by the Lord. God bless you, and look forward to hearing from you.